It just hit me so hard that Keahi is doing this, and he's been doing this for a long time. And it's not just talk, it's action, and for the right reasons. So now, today, and looking forward, I just feel so happy that he's, like a newer generation. Like I'm 80 now. I'm not going to last forever. So we need more people moving in the same direction with the same values and carry on. Yeah.
Welcome to Richard Haw's YouTube channel, which looks at what we can do today to make Hawaii Island a more sustainable place to live so our children and grandchildren and their grandchildren won't be priced out of here and will be able to stay in Hawaii and live good lives here. Today, Richard and I are talking to Keahi Warfield. Keahi is president of the group PUEO, which stands for Perpetuating Unique Educational Opportunities, and he's also executive director of the Keaukaha One Youth Development Program. And he's someone Richard goes way back with. But first, before we get into all that and what you're doing specifically these days, Keahi, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you come from, and what your background is.
Yes, my name is Keahi Warfield, and I am born and raised in the Hawaiian homestead community of Keaukaha. I've lived here all my life. I had an awesome childhood growing up as the native Hawaiian from this community. I'm proud of Keaukaha and our community and everything that it represents. I was raised with my mom and dad here, and I have an older brother and two older sisters, so I'm the youngest of four. And we had a great childhood. It was a time full of being down at the ocean and fishing and camping and playing in the bushes, and playing with our neighbors. And so Keaukaha is a very close-knit community. We know pretty much everyone who is here or who has lived here and who has not. To this day, my work continues with the community and the young people especially, mainly because we had opportunities through sports programs, paddling programs, Boy Scouts. There was a lot of stuff going on in Keaukaha when we were growing up, and I think that really influenced my life later on as I went off to college and needed to figure out, what I was going to be doing. I went off to school. My background is in Hawaiian language and cultural revitalization, which I hold a PhD in, and it took me many years of hard work getting to that point. Now I'm able to use those tools that I've learned over the years to work with Native Hawaiian youth, and our focus is pretty much on kids from the age of 5, from as early as they can swim till about their mid-20s now. The program has grown in capacity, and we continue to further develop the program, especially evolving with the times, the challenges, COVID, just looking at what our young people need as far as opportunities or cultural development, career development, and figuring out what's the best path they need to be on. And in order to do that, they need good teachers, they need mentors, they need to train, but they also need good families and they need good values. And so our programs, working with Keaukaha One Youth Development was the first 501c3 that was established to do this. We really look to focus on those areas of youth development. And when you work with youth, that means you're also working with the families. It means you're also working with, their grandparents or the kupunas. And so you're working with pretty much everybody. You're working with the state, you're working with the county, you're working with private philanthropists that can help support a lot of the programs that we have. But it's not easy, and our programs are free to our community, and the foundation of these programs are built upon the Hawaiian canoe, whether it's voyaging, paddling, just being in the ocean. So there's a lot of things that over the years I have gotten my hands into, but it was always for the benefit of our Native Hawaiian youth.
It's great that you are doing that and have found a way to bring it to your same community where you grew up. I find that amazing. What a wonderful career you've built yourself. And how many children in Keaukaha do you think you've worked with?
It's not just Keaukaha, it's the whole East Hawaii. Yeah? Okay. Kids come out of Volcano, Puna, Pahoa, North Hamakua. As far as Kohala, involved with our programs. So
I didn't realize that. That's amazing.
We've been working at it for over 20 years now and service well over thousands of children from Big Island.
I wanted to talk about PUEO, because that's when Keahi and I kind of worked very closely together. And like you said, PUEO is perpetuating unique educational opportunities. We were at a contested case hearing for the 30-meter telescope. So we attended every single one of those hearings. And so Keahi was the leader, and I was, there every day as well.
Yeah, so Perpetuating Unique Educational Opportunities was a party in the contested case hearing of the TMT. And basically, our focus was pro. It was a pro stance again for the 30-meter telescope, which we got a lot of for it, right? because we're Hawaiians. We're supposed to be against those types of things. But if you look at our past record and what we've done, we're really about the development of the youth. And so there was a need to protect students, Native Hawaiians was in support of that. And not many people wanted to come out and be the target. So I put up my hand and I made myself the bullseye. It was because I felt, and I still do feel, that if there's going to be any astronomers on top of Mauna Kea, then they should be Native Hawaiian. And in order to do that, we're going to need to be in the game with astronomers, developing stronger educational programs so that we can train these kids, not in the college time, but from ground level up, 0 to 5. That's where it begins. How do we train? How do we implement programs in our public schools to help these Native Hawaiian kids succeed and have futures as astronomers in their own telescopes here on Big Island? And so there's a lot of stuff that people assume about us and our stance. And I'm not afraid to go up against anyone because I know where I come from and I know exactly what I support. I know exactly what I've done. And we have a track record of it. And no matter what anybody says, they can say it all on social media. They can say it in the newspapers and everything like that. But when they're in front of us, they never say that. They would never say that. And it's because of the amount of time that we put in working in the community. We don't just talk about it, we do it. I've had long talks with many Native Hawaiians in opposition and, even lost some friends along the way. But that's one thing I noticed about Hawaiians is that over time, that some people will continue to hate you and some people will come back and forgive you and send you their kids. And, I work with tons of kids whose parents and themselves are in opposition. So people are always going to have a different perspective on how they view these issues in Hawaii, but you're not going to change my mind. It could just be me on one side and 10 million on the other side, and you're not going to change my mind. PUEO was established to do that, was to protect the people who was in support of it, was afraid to come out and say it. And even though they were afraid and some didn't come out and say it, we still did. And we did very well because people got to see that if we're going to stand up for something, then let's do it. And let's be real about it. Let's not talk about it behind and say, oh no, but it's a good thing. You got to be in the game. And so we were. And that was very troubling for the opposition, because we were from a Native Hawaiian community. We have Native Hawaiian backgrounds. We get Native Hawaiian blood, And so perpetuating unique educational opportunities is not just looking at the TMT, it's looking at all opportunities for education and for all students throughout Hawaii. And so we continue to work together, and it aligns closely to how we established Keaukaha One Youth Development. It's about the development of our young people and then the development of our communities through opportunities that are happening, and how do we become involved and invested in some of those opportunities to create your futures or make Hawaii a place where, like you said, you can live and you can establish a career and stay here and not have to move away.
Yeah, and so impressive that of the people arguing so strenuously for or against the TMT, you're someone who's actually every day out there really working with kids in a very real and impressive way.
And this is another thing about the whole TMT issue is that it goes two ways. How everything has played out, with it not being supported through the National Science Foundation and all these things, that's the way it's supposed to be. I'm for astronomy. I am for new tools in viewing our celestial bodies, but I want them to engage with our communities. And that was the whole thing. Is making sure that if TMT came in, they are engaging with Native Hawaiian communities, they are providing educational opportunities to our schools, and they are building programs that enhance learner outcomes in astronomy for our youth. And from the time we were involved with the contested case hearing until today, that was a lot of time for the TMT to do things in our community. And so you got to look at it both ends. It's not just, oh yeah, go up there and build this 30-meter telescope. They had a huge weight on their shoulder too to implement these programs and to implement them now on the downtime, when things are going to the courts and stuff like that. It's not just about the telescope. You got to build that outreach education programs. You got to be seen in the Native Hawaiian community. And ever since that thing happened on the mountain, it should have happened there, And so if you ask me to support them today, maybe I might have a different outlook because I haven't seen much accomplished, within the communities in the downtime. And so that's where it really counts with our Native Hawaiians and moving forward with programs that are going to come in the future, opportunities that are going to come in the future that are, sensitive to our cultural practices. If you want support from the Native Hawaiian community, then you're going to have to work hard to become part of that community and do it early. You can't just come out and ask for stuff. Put in 10 years, put in 20 years of your time, and then come out and propose your action or propose your activity or whatever whatever. And then that way you would have established the people that you need to get the support for your things, and so that's how it plays out. You got to put in the time. For us, we put in our time. So to back them, that was a huge thing. But what I'm saying is that any billion-dollar corporations that come to Hawaii wanting to implement new things, right, and want support from the Native Hawaiian community, you're not going to get in a year. You're not going to get in 3 years, not 5 years, not even 10 years. So that's how far ahead these investors going to have to be coming into Hawaii now. So there was a lot that I think everybody learned from that one situation.
What Keahi is talking about in 2016, during the time of the contested case hearing, it came in the Star Advertiser, a story and an explanation of how Keahi looked at it. And I was there with him from the start, yeah. But my background is sort of like his in parallel, because I was a farmer for a long time. And then I went to the PUEO conference in 2007. That's when it came to me like, hey, wait a minute. So I started doing stuff. And by the time 2016 came around and I met Keahi, I was all in. So we have that building of the framework to move forward. PUEO was the first time that he and I got together to move in the same direction, yeah? And the reason I'm saying all this stuff is because it just hit me so hard that Keahi is doing this, and he's been doing this for a long time, and it's not just talk, it's action, and for the right reasons. So now, today, and looking forward, I just feel so happy that he's, like a newer generation. Like, I'm 80 now. I'm not going to last forever. So we need more people moving in the same direction with the same values and carry on, yeah?
Keahi, tell us about what you do day to day with kids these days.
Well, day to day, we run paddling programs. I mean, we really focus down on the paddling programs that we have established, because the canoe was really the basis of our development with KOYD, PUEO in some ways. The canoe is a cultural practice for us that we need to do every day, but it also helps to instill the values that we're trying to implement with our students. It keeps them in good health. And so we are in collaboration with Keaukaha Canoe Club, where I'm also the president and head coach of that. And it's like a community. It's an extended family. And so we've just come through our regatta season that began in, I'd say, late March. We just finished our state races over on Maui this year. Our club came in first in the A division, tied with Kilohana Canoe Club from Kauai. It was the first time in a long time where you get a first string tie, and that's our good friends over in Kauai. And so we're very pleased with the outcome. We're pleased with the people that are involved with our club. So day to day, it's working with people. It's servant leadership. A lot of these outside activities we get no pay for. It's about having a good team, people who buy into this, I say, extended family. That's what we are. We're a family. And that's just one phase, the paddling. But the paddling has taken us outside of Hawaii. It's given us the opportunity for cultural exchange, visiting places like London, Samoa, Tahiti, New Zealand. And so it offers pathways to connect with our Polynesian cousins through the canoe. And we've been involved with the World Sprints competition. And we look forward to being involved with other events that connect us on a worldwide platform. Our training and development of our youth is very important, that we stay close with them each day, that we train each day, we talk each day, we meet. And in itself, it's an intervention. It's an intervention from outside negative influences that, we all faced. I faced when I was growing up, and I'm talking about alcohol, drug abuse, suicide, domestic abuse. It goes on and on and on. And so we face those types of negative impacts when we suffer in a society that is economically challenged. It's hard to make a living. And so it all comes around. So day to day is pretty much what I need to do to keep our programs running. And there's multiple areas of that. And so the paddling is just one. And then you got voyaging, then you got grant writing, then you got for-profit things that we need to look at to sustain a nonprofit. And I can go on and on and on and on. So my days are very filled to the rim, but I love it. It's the best job I've ever had in my life.
So I want to understand. So the Keaukaha One Youth Development, is that the paddling? Is it more than that? What ages is that? Tell me about that program.
PUEO is pretty much built off of and aligned to what we've already established in KOYD. So KOYD was established as a nonprofit organization for Keaukaha Canoe Club by Stanley Rohrig, Al Konishi, and Jimmy Naniole was involved with that early on in like 2004. There was a nonprofit prior to that that had a different name, and then it was changed to Keaukaha One Youth Development. I got involved with Keaukaha One Youth Development in 2005 to 2006, and then I took over as executive director in 2007. And from there, it was just a paddling program. And at the time, I was an immersion teacher at Kaume, and I took the students after school, and we started building back into Keaukaha Canoe Club. And eventually, I became the head coach and president of Keaukaha Canoe Club, and we decided that we needed to do more than just paddling. And so in that process, in 2011, we established the 21st Century After School program known as RISE, Revealing Individual Strengths for Excellence. And that was based in Dock Hill. Our school, Kaume, was also first established at Dock Hill when we created the middle and high school programs for Kaume in 2008. And so from that period, we started to look beyond just paddling, and we started to look at individual strengths and building ISSPs, which is individual student success plans, and really looking at the individual child. And so that was the RISE program, an after school program that didn't exist at that time for students middle school to high school. And so we focused our energy there for a few years, all the way up until the present, actually. RISE still exists when school is on. So now kids are going back to school, and these programs kick in to offer different types of education that include robotics. It includes canoe building. We've done many different things over the years, and it evolves year to year depending on the types of resources we have, the types of funding we have. But I think after COVID, we really hunkered down and focused back on the canoe. So we have a voyaging canoe that was donated to us from Ahapunanaleo in 2015. And we worked really hard to get that canoe back on the water so that we could utilize it again, which we are doing currently. And it was relaunched in 2022. So a little bit after COVID, we were able to use this vessel now for navigation and wayfinding. We no longer have to go to Kauai or, be on Oahu to practice on a Hawaiian voyaging canoe. We have our own here in Hilo. And that's one of the things that we really want to try and highlight right now. It's really opened doors to what we do with VA and how we do it. And we don't have to follow any, protocols, or we do it our way, basically, is what I'm saying. And the whole purpose of that VA is to connect our students back to sailing. Sailing has taken this total left turn. And, even for us growing up in Keaukaha, sailing is just a foreign thing, for a Native Hawaiian to be sailing out of Keaukaha. And so now we're going to change that, and we're going to try to get as many people as we can on that canoe, because they need to feel the wind and understand it, because it's in our DNA and it's very simple. And when they can paddle and be ocean people, sailing is second nature. So it's a very exciting time. But, again, the challenges is just sustainability. How long can we run, given the resources and grants and things happening in our government and everything underneath the sun.
What's the name of that va'a? And also, what do kids learn from voyaging?
The name of the canoe is Io Makualani, and it was renamed. It was the Hokualakai, and then because it took on a new spirit, a new ownership, new kahu, and a new vision, basically. And so Io, we look at Io as our God. Io is God. Io is Jehovah. Io is pretty much everything. It's our Hawaiian hawk. It's the apex predator here in Hawaii, up in the celestial body. And so it's that watchful eye. And so Io Makualani for us is interpreted as Io, the heavenly guide. And so far, it's taken on the name really well. We've done lots of different things with it so far. And, as far as why sailing is important, it's just part of our history. It's part of who we are as ocean people. It just kind of blows me away to think that why aren't we doing more of it? Why aren't we sailing across to Maui instead of booking a flight on Southwest or Hawaiian Airlines? We just went to Maui and paid up to $400 round trip. And I'm thinking in my head, okay, and then that's our next project. We're going to put the koa on our double hull canoe next time. We're all going to pack up the team on that double hull. We're going to sail to Maui next time.
What we've heard so far is incredible. and it just aligns so well with how I was brought up, and my values and direction in life and everything. So when I found out that Keahi and I belong to the Kamahili Nui family, I just found that out last week. And I went, holy smokes, it just hit me so hard because it's so important. He's not a bragger, yeah? So he's not over there saying, oh, I'm this and that and whatever. He just goes and does it, yeah? And in my way of doing things too, I feel the same way. Just go do them. If it's that important to you, no, just go do them. So when I found out that we were related, it meant so much.
Keahi, what are your goals for the future? Where do you see this going? Is it more of the same? Do you have some big goals in mind down the road?
From what we've established through the nonprofits and programs like Rise, the canoe programs, we're beginning to see a lot of the kids come back, wanting to be at home, becoming entrepreneurs. And I want to hire them. I want them to come back and work for our program. I want them to be able to do what I did, choose something that they're really good at, explore it, and I support it financially by making them an employee of one of these nonprofits and helping me to build a for-profit system where at least 30% would come through grants and the rest of the money is through for-profit, opportunities that help to sustain all of our programs. So you got kids that went off and became nurses. We'll create nursing programs. We had kids that go off and became welders and tradespeople, create programs that create, opportunities for that. So that I don't foresee our educational system is really outdated for today's time. Moving forward with all the software we have now, artificial intelligence, you have so much things, yeah. But one thing that artificial intelligence will never replace is having values and having people that actually make these things happen. You're still going to need people to build up your house. You still need people. That's what creates the world. And so to have opportunity to help more young people just starting off their careers is something that I look forward to building capacity in while maintaining everything that we've built so far. And so that means stepping out of roles that I'm currently in. It means passing on the torch to the next guy so that, I can concentrate on other areas of the program, just building this thing out, continue working at it, as long as I can go. I think it's really important that I can bring a lot of our students who are in the mainland home and find a place in our organization and, share these opportunities with the world, especially our culture. How do you implement culture into your modern day workforce? I think that's a huge driver now in any career that is taking place in Hawaii, is that you need to know culture. There's so much culture out there. How can you not know about it? Whether you're in real estate, whatever it is you're in, it should be mandatory because this is Hawaii and that's what makes Hawaii unique. It's the people and the history and everybody that came along with it throughout all this time. But it needs to get real. People need to get real and start doing things sustainably, economically, and socially, just. And keeping our kids home that want to come home. If they want to go off and learn and stay, that's fine. But, the real reason why so many families and our young people are moving away is because it's so much cheaper outside, and it's so much easier to buy a home, to have your own things, and so that's kind of the next step, is figuring out how I can get my hands on a lot of those kids that want to come back and circle back, and then kind of seeing this full spectrum, full circle of events take place.
From my perspective, the Hawaiians never had a written language, but they figured out how to make things work just by helping each other. And what they were doing was called reciprocity as versus transactionalism, which is today. Transactionalism, you got to pay so much money and you expect change, and probably you have no obligation. The other way, you never have a complete transaction. It's you got to help each other, however you can help. So that idea of reciprocity, Hawaiians were able to do it and make a sustainable society before we became what we are today. And like Keahi says, something ain't right. So what he's doing, I see, is exactly what used to be done before and actually worked.
Keahi, people who watch this and are interested in what you're doing, how can they help? Is there a way people can get involved or help in any way?
Yeah, there's many different ways you can help. Finances is always our number one issue. And so making contributions or donations to any of the nonprofits or programs are always key. But what is more important is the involvement. If you know of people that need these services or kids, especially those ones that are having a hard time, they're troubled. That's the ones I want. I want those that are hard. I like kids that are naughty. I like kids that are getting into a lot of trouble.
Because
It's super challenging. And it's super rewarding to see them change. A lot of times those behaviors are taking place because there is an absence of values. There's an absence of family. Those are the kids that need the program the most. I love working with any type of kids, but some have lived better lives than others. And we never shy away any students that want to be involved with the programs. But more importantly, we like to focus on those kids that really need it, and families that, could use that extra support with their children that they're having a hard time with. Because, in Hawaiian families, and this goes way back, not everything was learned in the family. They learn important skill sets 0 through 5. And so if those values are not implemented at that stage, there's a missing gap. And so they move on into the 6 through 10 and, 11 through 15. And a lot of times in Hawaiian families, they've sent their kids to be hanai by uncles, aunties, or other teachers, and that's the same way I see our programs, is that we're an extended part that can help. We know from our own experiences, sometimes we don't learn the best from our own dad or brother or anything like that. It's hard sometimes, and sometimes we do, but that's our role, is just being an extended member of the community where we can offer what we have. Everything that we have worked for. And so I challenge anybody who comes and says that, we did this, or we took money from you, or, just shaming us. I will stand in front of them and show them every single bit of blood, sweat, and tears that we put into what we have. We're going to keep going. Yeah, I think that's a great segue into letting people know how they can help, or letting us know what are your capabilities, Because some people, they get to a certain age or a certain period in their life where they don't know how to support or share resources. The good thing about our programs and our nonprofit is that we're multifaceted. It's not just like, we only do canoe paddling, but we can do anything. Let's say somebody from the mainland came over and, I met a guy that was successful veterinarian who built animal hospitals in California, who offered his services, to mentor 3 or 4 Native Hawaiians who wanted to become a veterinarian. Things like that. People they're the outlet. That's all it takes, is just one person willing to kokua or provide support to someone else. And that's what it's about. And that's how our program should be. I'm going to keep our programs free forever. That's a promise that I have always made. And so it's not easy doing that, but that's the type of support we need.
What Keahi's described speaks for itself. It's just common sense.
One thing I forgot to mention is just, the people that come to Hawaii are visitors. A lot of our economy is, based upon our visitors to Hawaii, our malihinis. How do we use our platform in ways to engage, educate, help share values so that, our visitors are a little bit more aware and sensitive of our people who live here, whether it's through respect of the flora and fauna. There's so many different ways to engage, not only in ways of building capital, but when you travel outside any place in this world, would you rather go with a tour guide from outside of that area, or would you rather experience that area from a local? I think visitors to Hawaii would much rather share experiences, activities, and pay $1 to spend a day with a local over somebody who's coming from outside and offering an experience on, say, a major yacht or something, So there's got to be some type of way to share that and become sustainable at it, I think more locals need to be out there and doing it, and not in a way where we're kind of selling our culture or being called sellouts. It's not a sellout when you're educating. And then we get mad because they want to take a picture with a turtle or touching a seal, and we got to teach them. Those are the ways we can use our local families, that live in different areas, because different areas have unique things about them that needs to be run in those certain ways. And so it's just got to be facilitated, and models got to be created so that they can follow.
Are you doing anything like that, or is that something you're considering?
It's something that we're considering doing here in Hilo, only because we have
It's a great idea.
cruise ships rolling in every single day, and we're suffering as a program to keep the program rolling. So we got to do what we got to do. And we want to do it in a way where, it's not just Keahi Warfield is collecting all these millions of dollars, right? We want to see the community involved in ways where everybody moves together. So if we cannot take the community along, then we're not doing our job. I wouldn't feel good about that. But that's what I look at. I look at, well, what's different? Well, I notice cruise ship is coming in every single day. What are they doing? They're going straight up to the volcano. They're coming straight back. And they're skipping right over all this beauty and opportunity they got right here in Keaukaha. And so it's a no-brainer. It's like what Richard said. You know, we got to use our common sense. We got to look at the times. Things have changed, and we got to do what we got to do to survive. That's the key. Our youth, their families.
Keahi, thank you so much for joining us today. This has been very interesting hearing about this work you're doing and how important that is. You know, we don't hear a lot about things like this that you're doing. Like you said, you're a little bit under the radar, but what an important thing you're doing, and a lot of people you're touching in such a positive way.
Thanks, Ceci.
Yeah. And thank you everyone for watching. We will be back in 2 weeks with another episode of Richard Ha's vlog. Ahui ho.
Ahui ho.